Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the ReQuest. It's me, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is Austin, the Day Ghost.
What's up?
And this time we've also got my son Jason, who watched tonight's movie with us, so he's gonna review this with us. Jason, thanks for joining.
Hey, you're welcome.
Appreciate you, man. Right before bedtime.
Yeah, thanks for having me on this Kamen Rider movie.
Well, it seemed like a thing you might be curious about and want to watch with us. And then after you watched it, I was like, if you want to, maybe you can come in and help us review it.
Yeah, and then I was like, yeah, whatever.
Because this isn't not a convoluted plot. Like, you can probably help us out quite a bit.
Yeah,
with
it's not a convoluted plot.
Kind of parsing this out and helping me remember everything that happens, because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of moving parts with this. Tonight we're gonna tackle Shin Kamen Rider, which came out just last year. So Austin, we got to do something real recent, which is unusual for us on this show.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And this is a thing that I really wanted to see right after I heard about it. So I was excited that it was on the list. And I was actually a little bit impatient to watch this. I almost looked at this earlier, and then I was like, Jajir requested it. I'll wait so that I can, give my more immediate response on it. But that's kind of unusual, too, where somebody requests something that I'm, like, chomping at the bit to finally look at.
Yeah, same here. I had the exact same thing, and I knew it was on the list, so I kept going, I need to hold off because I'm going to have to watch it for the list anyways.
I'm glad we waited because it's free now. I don't know how long it's been free on Amazon or free on if you have Prime.
I think it's been on there for a while.
That's nice because this one you don't have to pay for, but Ultraman you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Shin Godzilla is even on there. I didn't notice that when I looked this up.
I don't think so.
That movie I have not seen in a long time, like since it came out in the theater. And so this is only now the second of these I've seen. There's only 3 now of the Shin movies. But Austin, you and I have actually seen something else that this director has done, because he's the guy behind Evangelion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And
you can see that thematically in this.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this, Cap, but I can't remember if it was because we did Ultraman the show at one point, like just a couple episodes.
I forgot about that. Did Jajira also ask for that? Because I think we have a couple of like Japan / Tokusatsu guys that have asked for things in the past on this show.
Yeah, and in Ultraman, I can't remember if it was one of the episodes we watched, but there's an episode where there's just the Godzilla suit and they add like frills around the neck.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And Shin Ultraman does that where they reuse the CGI model of Shin Godzilla and they do the same thing with it.
Oh, wow. It's like a callback to that.
That's really cool.
Like not being lazy so much, just going, that's a tactic they used, so we'll do it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, this is in its way like, I mean, I don't know if I can say, like, faithful to the original show and the original material, because I'm not super familiar with that, besides what Austin and I looked at when we reviewed some of the manga. How long ago was that now, Austin? Has it been 2 years, year and a half? Like,
that was forever ago, but oddly enough, I still remember quite a bit of that.
Oh, that's
Probably
good.
Not, like, super well.
Some of it was coming back to me.
Images.
Yeah, some of it was coming back to me as we were watching this, but more of what little we watched of that show. I was excited to get the theme from that show back, and some of the kind of fan service nostalgia stuff worked for me a little bit, because even though I'm not a fan of this stuff, like I don't know it real well. Not that I don't like what I have seen. I'm just I'm not a mega fan. I've not watched a lot of it. It did work on me the way that stuff is supposed to.
Like, oh, I know that.
Oh, I'm familiar with that. And I don't know if you watched through the credits, but they play the entire original theme through the credits, which was kind of fun.
Okay, yeah, and I wouldn't have recognized that anyways, but no, I think I turned it off during the credits.
But yeah, they play that some through the movie too, and I don't know, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I was kind of impressed with the balance that it strikes between the cheesy, kind of late 60s, early 70s stuff, and updating it and making it, more serious and more for an adult audience. It was kind of crazy, like I said, because I started to say, I don't know how faithful it is to that stuff, but it obviously has a ton of reverence for it. And so I don't feel like it's ever making fun of the manga or that show or that early Kamen Rider stuff so much as trying to find a way to do it as straight as possible and then push the envelope, however you feel about it, of adult subject matter and language and violence and all of that. So, like, it's straight up as like goofy and silly and out there and melodramatic as it always has been, but now there's like giant splashes of blood and anybody might die, and it's maybe got more like social ideas and social commentary than some of those things had before. But it's also hard for me to say how far any of the shows or the other movies have gone too, because I haven't seen a lot of that stuff. So I know that Japan pushes those envelopes a lot harder than we do with like Power Rangers and things like that already. But this felt like Shin Godzilla in that it was like trying to recapture the spirit of the original, but like be about something as much as it can and take itself more or less seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And that's my review.
So, I have successfully nailed exactly what this review would be like half an hour into watching the movie. And that I was like, this will be Cap and Jason's thoughts. Well, I was immensely disappointed in this movie. I didn't think it worked much at all.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Now, real quick, because I want to hear your unadulterated thoughts, Austin. But having said everything I just said, I enjoyed a lot about this. I wasn't like in love with it, but
no,
particularly by the end. Like I kind of tuned out somewhere in the third act, and I thought that I said convoluted earlier. I realized that I always kind of put up the caveat of I get that the like expectations and standards in Japan for storytelling are different than here, and I'm used to getting like a lot of exposition thrown at me. This was to the nines with that. And I got to a place where I was like really tired of reading exposition on the screen, and I was actually kind of begging for a dub, which I rarely do with like Japanese language stuff. Like I usually don't mind reading subtitles. This is one where I kind of wanted a dub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. Especially early on, it took me a little bit to get into the rhythm of it because some of the talkings look really fast, so like a subtitle will go by really quickly.
Yeah, you feel like you got to take notes. Like there's so many characters and there's a lot of mythology that's thrown at you at once. Did you feel like, because Jason said this after we watched it, did you feel like it was kind of too TV sometimes? Did it watch like a whole season of television truncated into 2 hours?
Well, yeah, that's like exactly what it is, which I don't mind as much because I think you can do that really well.
I think they did maybe the best they could do with that, but it does feel like there's a part where I was like, okay, that's a cliffhanger for a next episode, but wait, it's a movie. I was like, oh, like what's gonna happen next? Oh wait, it's already gonna happen because it's a movie.
No, exactly. No, and it comes in like 20-minute chunks, and I'm guessing it goes a little bit further than the manga that we read, but a lot of that is in at least the first half of this movie, from what I remember.
Jiris says that this is actually only adapting the first half of the manga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how much of that we read, but we did like all the Spider-Man and Batman stuff, and I can't remember if we went past that. I think it ended with those two. Those are at least the ones I remember.
Yeah, we only read a trade of it, and I'm not sure how many trades it is, like when you're reading it in that form, but it went for like 3 years, I think, or at least a couple of years.
Yeah, no, exactly. But no, I think you could have balanced that. Like there is like almost like a Kill Bill way you could have managed it, where you have like here are the specific enemies we have to get to by the end, and take each one of them out one by one. Like I don't really have an issue with that in terms of formatting or structure. I just Okay, so I really like all the acting in this. I think the cast is great. I think
Yep.
it's completely let down by the writing and the direction. Um, so, God, where should I start with this? um, I think visually, actually no, I'm gonna take it back to Shin Godzilla. So what I really like about Shin Godzilla is that they came in and they went, okay, we're gonna reinvent Godzilla. Like nothing's off the table, and they make a completely different creature, and they have something very different to say, but that is also still in line with the themes of the original movie, and it makes for a really interesting remake. And this, I feel like they didn't have a take. They just went, okay, let's take Kamen Rider and put it on the big screen, which is cool and all. But I just didn't think it really worked. And I think it looks cheap through most of it. Um, a lot of the effects in Shin Godzilla aren't very good, but they're done in a way that I think is kind of unnerving and really works for the idea that it's trying to get across. While here, I think it just looks cheap and bad. um, I I'm not a big fan of the writing, and like you said, it's a ton of exposition and technobabble and whatnot, which I think could have been okay, but it's also trying to be a little bit more personal. And Shin Godzilla is very technical, and it's just that, and it doesn't really have any character work, and it works for that movie. Well, I think here it's somewhere in the middle where I need it to be either one way or the other, and I don't think it lands. Um, yeah, and like there's just stuff, even with the action, like a lot of the action just reminded me of watching like a Power Rangers episode. Like I thought it looked super cheap. And there was a point when they go to fight the Wasp villain, and I was very hyped for the katana fight that they were setting up, and then it ends up being just this really awful CGI fight.
Yeah, somehow I didn't mind the effects as much as you, and there were places where I was wondering if, with as small of a budget as they have, if there's not a way to make it look more realistic. What I was struggling with was comparing apples to apples, Austin. Like, I
Mhm.
feel like I'm not the target audience for this. I don't know Kamen Rider well enough to make a judgment call about how cheap it looks, because when I look at tokusatsu, and I guess Godzilla technically falls into that category, but I mean like the guys in suits fighting monster tokusatsus, your Power Rangers and your Sentai. um my mind, because I've watched enough of that stuff, automatically kind of adjusts to a cheapness that I'm used to. And
Mhm.
so I go, well, this is cool for Power Rangers, and that ends up being the
Yeah.
standard that I'm looking at this for. And you're not into that stuff; you haven't seen a lot of that. So if you're comparing it to the best looking of Godzilla, and especially because this guy made a Godzilla movie, I'm struggling holding it to those kind of standards, because I don't know what the standard is I should be holding it to. Like, I almost
Mhm.
want to watch a lot more Kamen Rider before I see this. So if I come into this having never seen Kamen Rider before, and the only thing I'm used to is Sentai and Power Rangers, I'm freaking blown away by it.
Mhm. No, and that's where watching it, I was like, you guys will get more out of this because you're going to be looking at it through those lens.
Yeah.
While I don't have that. A lot of it was I was just going, okay, like removed from everything. Like there are way better ways to get what you're doing across on film. But like it's over ambitious in a way that it just can't hit.
No, it
Like when
really
they
is.
introduced Batman or Mr. Bat, Og, as he's
Og.
called in this.
They've changed
Um,
them to that. I don't know if that's a copyright thing where now they're staying away from Batman, Spider-Man, whatever, but
I feel like that's
now they're
probably
called
a
the
thing.
Augs, which is short for
Mhm.
augment, of course.
Yeah, I think he looks great, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
that
okay.
makeup job was super cool.
We didn't have the money to do like the full wing thing, but it's okay because we kind of went our own way. And then in the immediate next scene, he's got the wings and he's flying around, and it looks terrible. And I was like, you should have dialed it back. Like maybe he has the wings at the end of that scene, so you can do the uh like where he jumps up and kicks them thing, like whatever. But he should have been the non-winged version through that whole scene with Kamen Rider because
Well,
it looked better.
and then, how do you like how you get to the end and the big bad, the butterfly Og, when he finally morphs and has his full-on Kamen Rider look, they've got wings in the background of the set, so instead of giving him wings, he just stands in front of them.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
It was, but that felt like a cost-cutting measure, because I don't think he ever actually sprouts wings and flies.
I think he does for like a second.
Or does he?
Or maybe I'm thinking. No, man, I think I'm thinking of the Wasp one.
This was a whirlwind for me. Like, I'm struggling to remember precisely everything that happens and what happens with what characters, because I mean, this is Jason was saying this is like a video game plot.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it's like Mega Man, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Except I guess you could go in any order you wanted to. They just went in the order of like the manga because that's how that went.
Well, and to be fair, that's also true of like a lot of classical like epic mythology and even some fables and those kinds of things where like you got to go on a journey, and it is it is kind of a hero's journey thing, and then they try to kind of flip the script a little bit with like who you're with at the beginning versus who you're with at the end, but like you're following a journey where kind of like Wizard of Oz, where like you go to the most famous movie ever made, where you go to a place and you deal with a character and there is some kind of a conflict that you have to get past, some kind of hurdle, and then you move on to the next thing. So it has that. So when I say video game, like that's not to admonish it or anything, but that's what makes it feel like a season thing where you can see where the episode breaks would be.
The
where
problem
we got hit all those different villains.
The problem is, I wish this was a TV show because they don't.
Well, you get more budget per episode,
right? Also, they don't spend too much, like enough time on the Wasp Og or the Spider one.
Well, that's the problem is if you really love one, if you really latch onto one, they don't give anybody enough screen time.
Right, and then they give like the Butterfly Og like 40 minutes.
Well, and he's the big bad, and that's fair.
But
like
I didn't really like him that much.
I wanted to spend more time with the chameleon guy because he was super cool looking.
Yeah,
and he had a neat voice.
There's no reason for him to even be there. Like, I don't even know what his motives are.
You see, we spent enough time with the Bat-Og because at least we kind of got his motivations, and arguably we spent enough time with the Wasp one because you at least got her background with the lead female character.
We don't get enough action with her though.
No, that's true. But I felt the same way about the Scorpion one. That reminded me of Scorpina from Power Rangers.
That was the worst thing about the movie is they did absolutely nothing with her, and she's the best character in the whole movie. And then they spent like 30 seconds on her and then killed her off. And I'm like, come on!
Well, like Austin, the whole cast is dynamite, and she is super cool.
Yeah, and then she dies.
I mean, I don't know that I needed her on screen much longer than I had just watching it with you, Jason, because it was so much sexual innuendo, and that made me very uncomfortable.
But I
question whether you should even be watching it. Jajira, by the way, maybe I didn't mention this at the beginning. He requested this. Thanks, Jajira, and sorry if I forgot to say your name at the beginning. But he's been having us review this kind of stuff, and like I said, he's the guy that had us do the Kamen Rider manga months or years ago. And he was like in the comments because he's watching live right now. He was like, "I'm surprised you let Jason watch this." So
that was Hayden Spring. That was a different guy.
Sorry, Hayden.
That's
okay. And Hayden said he didn't really care for this, and he said that we should look at Black Sun, which I noticed that on Amazon and that just came out last year. That's a 10-episode series. That's on Prime right now, and he says that the effects are better. That's a lot better looking of a show.
Okay, interesting.
So,
and he said he's a big Kamen Rider fan, so he is comparing apples to apples, and he says this is not the best it's better looked.
Yeah, and even stuff like that's like burned into my memory. Like I remember Kamen Rider like impaling Batman with a cross. Well, here he just kicks him and then it's over. He turns to soap.
Yeah.
No, that's disappointing.
Now I can't look at it the same way. They just turned into soap.
I will say and I'm not calling Austin disingenuous because I get why he wasn't impressed with some of the look at this with this, but I was impressed with like props and costumes and stuff. Like there is some production value here. There's also
like, that stuff looks pretty good.
a shocking number of extras in a couple of scenes.
No, it's mostly that
It's like there's no effort.
really relies on CGI way too much. And then, like, just some of the fights, like, I don't think they're shot especially well. The editing, I think, is a bit of a mess in places. And, like, it's more on that side. That's why I was saying, like, I'm not a big fan of the direction or the writing. And I also think this is more for people who are very familiar with Kamen Rider than people who maybe know, like, a thing or two or are just trying to get into it.
See, and I wasn't really paying attention to much of that because I didn't realize that I was going to be reviewing this. So I was just having fun watching it. I will say, though, talking about it makes
I'm glad
me
you
like
had a good time.
a little bit less.
Now be critical.
But one thing that I can say about it is that it, like, on, like, the bad side of it, right, is it kind of tries to do a mix of, like, the technobabble and then also the, you know, it wants to have, like, a history component, but then also a very, like, fighty component, but then also, like, a relationship component, kind of, and I don't think it really handles those together really well, and it kind of, like, they don't work together very well.
Is Austin
like,
right that they should have leaned into one because they don't give any of those 3 things you just said like enough weight?
Yeah. So, like, I really liked the relationship drama with,
I thought there was some honest to God pathos with some of that stuff.
Yeah, I really liked the 2 Kamen Riders, the thing that they had together, and I really liked the girl in this.
I wasn't sure what motivated the second one to come back when he's all, I'm going to be a loner and not help you, but...
Because that's what the script says.
But whatever, I like that choice, and I like what we're saying about friendship and teamwork or whatever by the end of it. But I just wasn't sure what made him turn around. I don't know what his opportunity for change was there.
He was like, I have the ability to turn one last time. Let's ride.
It's not Ghost Rider. It's Kamen Rider.
Sorry, yeah. I think I watched the wrong movie. I think I watched Ghost Rider.
Oh wait, I don't think you'd be as down on that movie.
That is true.
That also has some weak effects.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Does it have as much blood?
No. No, not nearly as much. And Austin, let's talk about the violence for a second. And I know what you'll say because your refrain is always that never bothers me. I've watched so much violent stuff and grew up with that. But just in the context of what this is, I kind of questioned if it needed to go as far as it did with the. I just wasn't sure what the point of being quite as over the top violent as it is.
I think because the manga is pretty violent from what I remember. I don't know if it's that far in terms of like blood splatter and stuff, but I thought that was cool. Before watching it, even like when it was announced, I was like, "Oh, cool! It'll be more like the stuff that we read. Like it can go to some of those places that the show couldn't."
I forgot about that. I forgot that was that's right. There were kind of some envelopes with that. And I thought even for like 1971, the show went farther than we ever would hear. Mm-hmm. But at that time, but yeah, I forgot about that. I still don't think it was as like over the top about it as this was.
No, probably not. This is very like cartoony blood, which is why like it doesn't even register as violence to me. It's like.
Yeah, and I like how
very cartoony.
Yeah, it didn't bother me or anything, and that's why I let Jason keep watching it because like it was so cartoony.
I like how colorful this movie is in general, while having that like serious undertone, and also with like the actors taking it really like very seriously.
See, that's
I think
where
that
I think
does work.
Yeah, that's where I think it's managing that balance.
And also, I think it is going. It's looking at the manga more. Obviously, I don't know, but I saw the show or parts like a part of it. It's like looking more at the manga. I feel like, and then like story wise, and then with like, I feel like they might be looking more at the 70s show for like effects, and that's why I didn't really care that much for effects, because it felt more like a show from the early 70s.
That's kind of where I was with it. That's why I was kind of more all right with that than Austin
and
was.
then the directing is a little more modern with that, like, with those like shots from like the floor and like the shot in like the elevator and stuff.
And then the question just becomes,
and I think if they fully leaned into we're gonna shoot it like it's a 70s thing, I would have been more okay with it. Like if we had fights and it was just like actors goofing around, like say like Katana when I was talking about, where it turns into like CW's CGI characters like spinning around and stuff, and like half of it doesn't need to be CGI. Like, it's very strange. And like if they just shot two like goofy people in costumes having a sword fight, I would have been way more down with that.
And see, my perspective on that is I've spent the last like, decade and a half throwing, or more, I guess, throwing my hands in the air with Sentai and Power Rangers, going, okay, I guess a lot more of this is going to be CG than I want it to be, and I'm just going to live with that. Like I'm so used to that now with this kind of thing. And so now I want to look at more recent Kamen writers and see how much they pull away from the CG, because I'm wondering how much of that is just standard practice for this genre over there right now. They almost made the bike 100% CG and didn't even build one, because that's what we do with Megazords now.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So like. So that's why
that would have looked amazing.
That's why I'm struggling. Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't do that. But that's why I'm struggling and didn't think about it as much as you did, Austin, to not just look at it as the the standard over there.
Could we talk about that jumping effect though? Where they're jumping across roofs, and then like it doesn't look terrible, but they're jumping so high, and then like when they're in the sky, it looks very much like they're green screen, and it doesn't look great. And then they land.
But then when they land on the roof, it looks pretty good.
Looks pretty good. And then they it's really weird.
I kind of love that scene though, just how long that tracking shot goes.
So long, and I wasn't expecting them to even do that. And it's probably one of the best effects in the movie, but
I don't know what the budget was for this movie. I couldn't find that. But it only made like 12 to 16 million at the Japanese box office, which was big money for this franchise. That's like, because the Kamen Rider movies have come out in the theater over there, and this is the best one of those has done. So I'm like, if that was successful, that means that they did this many ambitious action scenes and had all of those costumes and the bikes and everything for what, $5-6 million probably.
Yeah, and I think if you didn't have the money for it, you should have dialed it back to make the fights that you do have look good, because we have a lot of fights, but most of them don't. So it's like, I wish they went that route instead.
Yeah, I totally get that, but my rebuttal would be, but it looked okay for Power Rangers.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm not a fan of that stuff, so like that is over my head. But like I said, I figured this would be how we would both land on it.
I also wasn't comparing it to Shin Godzilla as much as you are, and that becomes maybe a taste issue question of how authentic do you want it to be to the original, and how much do you want it to reinvent things? Because I was honestly expecting this to be kind of more dead serious and not lean into the camp, and maybe I drank the Kool-Aid a little too much on that, Austin, because I was kind of digging on the camp, and maybe that's why I didn't mind the effects as much as you did.
Yeah, and for me, it's stuck between two things. I needed to pick a lane, but in terms of just Shin Godzilla, most of that's just I just think it's very interesting that Shin Godzilla is very much a reinvention, while Shin Kamen Rider and Shin Ultraman, from what it looks like, are both just kind of adaptations of the show that aren't reinventing. I just think that's interesting more than anything.
Yeah, no, that's true. And And there was a part of me at first that was kind of disappointed by that, because I was kind of looking forward to the more somehow like dead serious and like really thought provoking version of that material. And I'm not saying that this is not like, you know, entirely not thought provoking. Like there's some ideas here and there. It does feel like throwing everything at the wall though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Like thematically and character work wise and stuff. And I was disappointed by characters we kill off as early as we do, because I was really digging on the female lead, and all, you know, complete spoilers with these. We lose her like just past the halfway point.
Mm-hmm.
And
she's really great.
It kind of sucked that we lost her when we did, and like that's. You know, it creates a lot of pathos for our main character, who we also lose later. And you know, it's good motivation for him, and you know, I like the message in the helmet and all of that later on, and we are dealing with like the idea of you know, the eternal soul, and you know, if that lives on after death and all of that. So it's appropriate for the material, I guess, to do that. But I wasn't convinced there wasn't more to do with her.
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Yeah,
like
well, and I think she is like the best character in this movie.
yeah, I agree. She's one of the best characters in the movie. I don't. She probably is the best character in the movie. I also do like the Wasp lady. Is that the one who keeps going like, "Oh shucks" or whatever? I don't remember what she says.
I don't remember, but she's got the beehive pattern thing going on, which is neat. She's got that shirt that goes up to like over her neck up to her head, and when she morphs, she still has that part. That was pretty great. That was like still in her costume.
I was gonna say something.
No, I'm sorry. But you said you liked her.
Yeah.
I don't know where you were going with it.
It's very Japanese to like kill off your two main characters that you see from the beginning, and then have like the cast at the end be like a completely different cast of characters.
Oh, so you're saying
like
that's not
halfway through the movie, you know?
Oh, is it?
Well, I don't know.
Is that kind of a typical thing? Because that felt like it was trying to be kind of. Oh yeah, that's
you know?
true. That's true. Well, it felt like it was trying to be kind of subversive with that, or like it was doing, you know, getting past the season cliffhanger of a show.
Yeah.
Whereas like
When
when
I
they
assumed we
introduced-
were doing like that, well, Kamen Rider, like it reboots constantly, like that Power Rangers thing. So
Yes.
I thought it was doing that.
Yeah, that's
just the movie.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
But I did think that it was also supposed to kind of surprise you at being a standalone movie, that you're not with either of the characters at the end that you started with.
Mm-hmm.
And that the main guy, because it has the evil Green Ranger thing, right? Like there are some, you know, we can definitely identify some tropes of the genre here, where you've got like the evil ranger or the evil Kamen Rider that has to be reformed, that turns around and is part of the team by the end,
And then becomes the main character by the end.
yeah. The main guy, because by season 2 Power Rangers, Green Ranger and then White Ranger is all that matters.
Yeah.
You don't even need the rest of the team, really. It's all about Tommy at that point.
Right, and through Zero. Well, first half of Zero.
Until you get to Gold Ranger.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. Hey, Jason, did you have? I did want to talk about Power Rangers for a second, just to ask you this question. Was there any part of you that that watching this made you want to see a more like dark, gritty take on Power Rangers? Because I've always been kind of against the like hard R, real bloody Power Rangers. I just don't know what the point of that is. And this made me imagine it a little bit more. Where like I can kind of see it now.
Yeah, I think it would be fun to do with that, and just if you did it kind of the same way as this, maybe with a little, you know, better effects. I think if they did it,
because this didn't lose all the fun.
The problem is,
like I would think a, you know, dark, broody, gritty Power Rangers would have to.
well,
It's still colorful. It's still got
thing is,
really fun, goofy villains.
it's also Japanese, so if you make an American hard R Power Rangers, it's not going to be like that.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be like actually like hard and gritty.
And you're
Right.
saying Japanese Hard R Power Rangers is essentially whatever the darkest season of Sentai is.
Yeah.
They've probably already basically made that.
Probably.
Except maybe not this bloody.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unless they go like a Deadpool or like the Suicide Squad route, where like it's still kind of goofy but R-rated. You could do that as well with Power Rangers.
Yeah, that's true. But at that point, it's probably also raunchy, which is not what I want. Like,
I don't want
this did not get to that place except for with one character, and she was so charming, I was fine with it. But like, our hero didn't have to be like that.
Yeah,
Like,
I just meant like in that way that you can keep that kind of comic sensibility.
But that's what I'm saying.
without being hard.
That would be just as bad to me because we would cast somebody like Ryan Reynolds, and then we would give him those kinds of jokes. Like, that's how we would do it here.
Well,
and
unless you went with teenagers still.
And I don't want that. Okay, so we get the teenage equivalent of that.
Yeah.
I don't need that. I don't need that. So basically, you're talking about it's the Hangover, but with Power Rangers.
I mean, no, because I didn't mean it in terms of like raunchy comedy. I just meant like in terms of like you keep that like it's still kind of goofy.
No, I know, but the point
That's
I'm
all I
making
meant.
is I don't see us doing that over here and it not be raunchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
Because even the Suicide Squad is a raunchier thing than what I would want for this material made over here.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's the only way you'd keep the like fun, colorful stuff. It's like it still looks like it's for adults. You know, because this stuff over in Japan is already for an older audience than it is here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and then Kamen Rider's also like the even older one, I think, compared to Sentai. Super Sentai, from what I understand.
Honestly, you know what we could also do, and this would kind of lose the fun, but also maybe might work. I don't know if you agree with this, Austin. But if we did a more serious Power Rangers, make it more like 2014 Godzilla, where it's like
where you cast Bryan Cranston as Zordon, but you kill him off in the first in the first act. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Is that the point you're making?
It's not. I didn't think of that, but I'm just saying make it a little more like techno-babbly and a little more like focused on mythology.
Yeah.
Instead of,
And that would be just like
teamwork makes the dream work or whatever the heck.
well, and then that would be just like Power Rangers 2017 in that because Godzilla 2014 has kind of the same problem where we're hiding the thing you came to see for so long that people have checked out by the time you get there. So like it's a little bit like we're not morphing until the third act, except that's a way better movie than Power Rangers 2017.
Maybe do like a mix of Godzilla 2014 and Godzilla -1, where like it starts, like really fast, and also like this.
Because I did appreciate that this wastes no time.
Yeah, this movie wastes no time.
Yeah, it just starts. It's like, oh, Kamen Rider's beating people up.
I guess I better stop making this sandwich and pay attention to this movie.
Well, yeah, because if you were making a sandwich, you couldn't see the subtitles.
Oh, that's a good point.
That is true.
You can't go up and make a sandwich while watching Japanese live-action Kamen Rider. Wait.
No, especially because you're gonna miss all the exposition because there's gonna be so much of it.
I already missed it. I wasn't paying attention.
Jason, do you even know what happens in this movie?
Well, yeah, but you don't really need the expedition.
You don't need the expedition? I think you do.
He doesn't even need a motorcycle. It should be a one-room drama. He doesn't need to go anywhere. Get out of here with your expedition.
No, you do, Brian. You really do.
Wait, I don't even remember what the word is anymore.
Exposition?
Exposition.
You don't need the expedition. Calm down, Lewis and Clark. You don't need the expedition.
No. Honestly,
Were you going somewhere with this?
my mind really,
Yeah?
I was not paying attention to, like, I was trying to, but I was not paying attention to the exposition, and my eyes just glazed over the text, because it just you know, it still made kind of sense. I got caught up. I don't think you really need the exposition.
Austin, trying to read this much Japanese coming at you as fast as it did, I think Jason has forgotten how to speak English.
Apparently.
I should just learn Japanese and then I'll be fine.
Austin, I'm gonna fight you slightly. I thought some of the fights were better than you're letting on.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't know. Most of them didn't work for me. But...
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. I would have been more disappointed with it if I had that. I enjoyed some of that. I really dug all the spinning in midair. There's so much just like jumping and spinning. I was like that in these.
Oh, and I also liked the spider guy at the beginning. That just
he had the best line of the movie.
Yeah, he kept being like he just wants everyone to be happy, and that's like good manners or whatever.
Yeah, I loved all the evil utilitarian villains in this, where they're like, "Oh no, greatest happiness principle," and then they can't agree on what the word happiness means. And I did like the whole idea of like the kanji for pain and the kanji for happiness are like one line off, and that becomes a metaphor for how closely related those two feelings are. That whole thing was good. Heavy-handed, sure. This is that kind of material. I like that whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. No, I was with it through the spider thing. Like, I think it's their big fight when he finally kills the spider where I started to go, oh, I don't know if this movie's going to be for me.
Yeah, he had the spider had the best line where he goes, "This is my idea of good manners."
Yeah,
And he just like rips the crap out of somebody. I thought it was really funny. Jujira has a $5 super chat. He says, "Thanks, man, appreciate it." He says, "I'm with Cap, but I'll admit the Shocker fight, writer fight, is a mess."
Yes, that is the worst one. That's where the editing goes like insane. That's when the two Kamen Riders fight the like army of Kamen Riders in a tunnel, and
in the tunnel.
I have no idea what's happening. I couldn't tell which ones were Kamen Riders and which ones were evil Kamen Riders, and I couldn't tell which one was the first Kamen Rider and which one was the second Kamen Rider, and so it didn't make any sense.
Well, and like you're supposed to be able to tell what the second one is because he's got the red scarf, but that scene is not lit well.
No, they both have red scarves.
Wait, do they both have the red scarf?
Yeah.
Oh.
The first one has orange eyes, and the second one has red eyes, and then the rest of the evil ones have red eyes. So I don't even know.
For red dry eyes, get
I thought
clear
that fight
eyes.
was like nigh incomprehensible, like in how it was edited. And all the shots were like way too close, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Hayden Spring says, "I think the Bat Og part is where it lost me." Oh, so 10 minutes in then. That happens pretty early.
He didn't impale him with a giant cross.
He looked like he came right out of the Never-Ending Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like rips his wings out and stuff. It's so cool. Like I remember all of that. I remember him jumping up and kicking the Bat in like 5 minutes.
I thought the Kamen Rider versus Kamen Rider fight was pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good, yeah.
At least it was one of the better things in this movie.
Oh, I liked the like video essay thing, like toward the end with the girl.
Yeah.
Where she's just like talking to a camera for 10 minutes. I like that stuff.
The video essay.
I just wanted that to be the whole movie.
I was honestly shocked by the revelation that she's that she was like a cyborg and like partly artificially created, because from the moment she came on the screen, I told Jason she looks like a CG character to me. Like the way the actress is playing the role, the way her makeup is done, the way her hair is, like she looked like a really good looking 3D model. And then we find out that, and I thought it was just me, and I was like, this probably sounds insulting, but I'm not imagining this is a real person on the screen. And then we find out that she's supposed to be a cyborg, and I'm like, I'm wondering how much of that was on purpose.
And like that second video essay, where she's like in the like grass or whatever the heck, and like that looks like CG. It's probably like not, but it looks a little less realistic, but I think they were doing that on purpose.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Or maybe it's just us.
No, I thought she looked like Ada Wong from Resident Evil, like down to she has like the exact same outfit as that character in the remake of the second game. So I was just like, oh, it's just Ada Wong from Resident Evil. She's here. That's fun.
Yeah, she looked like an anime character. She looked like a 3D rendered anime character to me.
I never played Resident Evil. What the heck is he talking about?
That was like a spy character. She's got like the same coat and everything. She walks around with a gun.
Side-scrolling Hero 16 just put in a $2 super chat. Thanks, man. He says, if you want more mature Toku shows, Heisei Kamen Rider is phenomenal. Huga, Agito, Ryuki, 555. I've heard of 555. Don't ignore death or mature themes. He says it's tradition in Kamen Rider for the first monster to have a spider motif. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't realize that it broke down in the like into eras like that, like the Heisei era and whatnot. Or maybe it's just called that. I don't know.
No, I think that's just the names
like
of those shows. Yeah, because it's like Sentai, where each of them has a different title.
Well, I wasn't sure because like that is a thing in like Godzilla and Gamera where it's like the Heisei era and it's like a specific time period.
That's
so
like
that's why I wondered.
That's like an era of Japan.
Oh, okay.
Like that's actually like a point
okay.
of time in Japan between like the 50s to the early 80s.
Is that right? Well, I wonder if
for Godzilla it's like 80 something. So I was assumed it was just like a movie thing, but I didn't know it was also like part of
because I know
Japanese history.
Yeah.
Well, somebody will tell us, but I wonder if Kamen Rider doesn't do this entire thing where they don't have different names for a while, and then eventually they get into an era where they start naming them, because you have like Kamen Rider Black, and you have like different names of shows and Gaim and all that.
Heisei is the name of an emperor, says Yamao.
Yeah.
So always, we're a bunch of ignorant.
It's always based on like the name of the emperor or whatever the heck. But I don't know. I don't live in Japan.
Look, I don't know anything about Japan prior to 1945, you guys. Like,
but correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't
correct you if you're Rome?
I'm Rome.
Okay.
Okay.
Rome wasn't corrected in his
Is the Heisei era like Godzilla 85 onward or whatever the heck that movie's called, or is that
it's either 84 or 85 depending on where you are, and it's that through to Destroya.
Oh, and then it goes to Millennium?
Yeah, and then it goes to Millennium, and now we're in Reiwa, who is now the Emperor of Japan, I guess.
Well, you knew more than I did.
I guess that's the era Japan's in now.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. I feel like Jason and I enjoyed this at least to some degree, and Austin is the Heiseyer of the group.
Oof. But Yikes.
See, I don't need a sound effect on hand for that. I've got Austin.
Yeah.
You can go
You just go butt
ching. You're gone.
That made my like pancreas bleed. Oh.
We're pushing envelopes on this show. We've got more blood now.
Oh no! Is it gonna come like through the mask?
Exactly.
That was cool. Also very bloody.
Yeah.
Because it was about blood. Because there was blood involved.
We got 5 minutes into the movie before we got the first, like, really bloody fight.
Yeah.
And I looked at Jason and I went, "Oh, we should have had
That
Freddie
fight
watch
in
this
the
with
woods.
us." So we should have had Freddie watch this with us. He probably would have really enjoyed it. And then he starts eviscerating people, and then going, "Oh man, I didn't mean to kill all these people. I don't know what happened." And I looked at Jason and I was like, "Never mind."
Ah, it's strawberry jam. It would have been fine.
Yeah, Freddy wouldn't be able to handle it though. That's not even about what's appropriate as much as it is what I know he'd be upset with me having him watch. Why'd you let me watch this, Dad? He'd storm
Well, that's
out
when you
angry.
just say, "Oh, it wasn't me. Your mom said it was okay."
Side-scrolling
Be
hero
angry at her.
Side-scrolling hero 16 put in another $10 super chat. He says, "If you guys have any questions, I'm your guy." Well, I mean, there's a few folks on the channel that really know this stuff. He says, and yeah, there's a Showa, Heisei, and now Reiwa era tradition. Says bat motif for second monster of the week. How far does this tradition go? If you guys
Well, then
like,
you have a scorpion.
it's like then you have a guy that's got to be two-faced in some way. He's half this and half this, but that can be different between seasons. He says, if you guys liked this, please watch Kuga. And then Jajira put in a $5 super chat. Thanks a lot, Side-Scrolling Hero. And he says, I like this a lot more than the previous reboot Kamen Rider, the first from 2005. I think I reviewed the first at some point. I feel like maybe that's the first Kamen Rider I saw.
Get it?
Yeah. That wasn't a joke. I think that happened. It's a paid request a long time ago. But it's been years now, so I don't remember if it was that or. But I think it was that though.
Do you remember if it was good or not? Or
I remember liking it okay.
yeah, for it. Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
I don't know. This I just thought had like a lot of style and panache, and I like the score, and I like the actors. I don't know. I was trying to be critical of this one, Austin. I just kind of had fun watching it until the third act lost me a little bit.
Mm-hmm. No, I was really sad because I've been pumped to see this since it was announced, and then I was very disappointed.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah,
It's like even
win
worse.
some, you'll lose some.
It's like even worse. I had to talk about it for an hour with these bozos.
Yeah,
Oh,
with
no.
these losers.
Does that make you less likely to look at Ultraman?
No, I'll probably check that out at some point. I mean, even if I didn't like this, I still really like Shin Godzilla, so that's still one and one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll give that a chance.
I was just thinking, since people were saying that was more like this and that it was going back to the sensibilities of the original, like you may feel the same way about that too.
It is possible.
Who knows?
But who knows? Like, maybe that'll win me over in a way that this just kind of didn't.
Hayden Spring says you reviewed Kamen Rider ZO, I think. Oh, you're right. That is what it was. So that's a movie from the 90s. Yep, I remember that now. Yeah, honestly, I think I enjoyed this more than that. Looking back on it, I think parts of that just really dragged from me. I just liked how insane this was. This is just nuts in a lot of places, and that was fun for me. I was just in the mood for this. I don't know.
Who names the movie Z-O?
Yeah, I know. Because then it gets complicated. You're like, is it Zio? No, it's not Zio. It's Z. Hold on. Oh,
It could be worse. It could be Kamen Rider H2O.
Where it's just wait, is H2O oxygen or water?
It's the 20th anniversary Halloween film. It had nothing to do with water whatsoever. I mean, there's like it's like a scene that takes place in a bathroom, but I don't think it's named after that.
Wait, is there actually what?
Oh yeah. There's a movie called Halloween H2O.
H2O stands for Halloween 20th anniversary, but they called it Halloween H2O.
Yeah,
It's just stupid.
it was
Dumb.
it was really stupid. The only thing dumber than that was the script. And then
that movie people really like, but it's awful. And I don't care what anybody says.
the first time I saw it, I remember liking it. And then I watched it again when I did a whole watch through of all the Halloween movies finally, Austin. And I was like, I don't know what I was talking about. This is
It's
terrible.
like CW's Halloween.
It
It's
is.
terrible.
And somehow Resurrection is worse, and yet I don't think I hated it as much, if that makes
I
any
like
sense
Resurrection more because it's really stupid. But at least it's like, look, this is a bad movie. We all get it. H2O people treat as being like one of the better movies, and it's
at
terrible.
all. It's not.
Yeah,
I mean, I would still rather watch that, I think, than the second of those newer, like, sort of reboot movies, but...
Oh, yeah, I don't like any of those. I would like the last two.
Yeah,
But,
the
like,
first one was good.
H2O, I think it's like very pretentious and like stupid.
Yeah.
While Resurrection has, what's it, like Busta Rhyme ninja kick Michael Myers in the crotch.
I forgot about
What?
that!
Like, it's so stupid that it transcends Halloween.
Hayden Spring, you need to watch the Friday the 13th movies. They're hilarious. I actually have seen those, and I did a video doing with an overview of those.
Did you watch all of them?
Oh wait,
what?
no, I
No, you're
didn't.
thinking Nightmare.
I did
No, you
Nightmare.
watched-
I have not done those.
We should do
still.
Friday, though, because it would be fun.
I forgot.
I had a friend.
I always mix up those titles. I forgot. I haven't done that.
I had a friend in 4th grade who was like, and we were like 9 or 10, right? And she was.
I'm with you
me-
so far.
She was telling me, "Oh, I just saw Friday the 13th Part 3," and I'm like, "What?" She's like, "It's really good. He gets resurrected," and I'm like, "I'm sorry." Who let
That
you
was an
watch
amazing
that?
story. Just I watched Friday the 13th 3. What?
Well,
That's
but
the 3D one. That's where the guy has his eye pop out and it flies at the camera.
yeah, but at his age, with his friends coming from the school, a lot of them come from. It's kind of surprising that one of his friends saw that movie.
Oh, okay. So this is like a inappropriate thing. Okay, I assume this happened like recently.
Well, no, she's 9, or she was 9, and
Ah.
she was telling me, and she was like, "Yeah." I haven't seen any of them, so I don't know how. Actually,
They're not crazy. Like they're very silly.
Yeah, in his world, that's surprising. The only other thing I wanted to mention about this is I thought the name change was curious coming over to the Western world. They released this as Masked
Shin
Rider,
Masked Rider, which is what
instead of
didn't
Kamen
they try
Rider.
to do an American season called Masked Rider, similar to what Power Rangers did, but it didn't last long.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. And
okay.
but it's weird that they would do that, because the people over here that are familiar with that material and would care to look at this know it as Kamen Rider, not Masked Rider, for the very reason you're talking about. Like, that was short lived, and it's almost like a deep pull reference that was ever called Masked Rider. It's really strange that
It's
they
kinda cool,
called it that
though.
over here.
and it's a Japanese thing. Like, I don't know why they would do that.
It doesn't even have a dub,
Right.
so I don't know why they thought that it would.
Like, it doesn't even have those same characters.
It would
'cause-
sell better here, or more people would watch it that way. And this did get a Fathom release, which I didn't realize. I would have gone to the theater if I'd
Yeah, I
done
think
that.
all 3 of them did.
Oh, did Ultraman have one too?
Yeah, because Doolittle told me one day that he went to the Ultraman one and he really liked it.
And I saw Shin Godzilla in the theater, but this I just never heard about the release for. And I guess even in Japan, it had a smaller release before they went wide.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I missed Shin Godzilla in the theater. But...
Hayden Spring says "common" means mask. Yeah, I get that, but it's just odd that because that's a popular enough franchise even here. You'd think that they'd want the name that people are familiar with.
We should all team up to make our own Kamen Rider parody called Ramen Rider, who has the power of ramen noodles.
What does that mask look like? A microwave?
Exactly.
A little flimsy paper bag?
Like the little cup, like the cup of noodles.
Yeah, you should get right on designing that.
I'm gonna get right on to writing it on my typewriter.
You have a typewriter?
It'll be a 100% CG microwave.
Exactly. We'll just put a green box on someone.
And a CG typewriter.
Jojira said he saw this in Japan. That's really cool.
That is cool.
That is cool.
And he says, I bet all my money that exists already. Hayden Spring said somebody else did it already and put it on a t-shirt.
Rats. They stole our brilliant idea.
Yeah, but they probably didn't make the head a microwave, so we still have something that's ours.
Yeah, that is true. Like maybe we can get away with still making it if they only made a T-shirt.
That's true. We could really commit to it.
Mm. Yeah, like, you made a T-shirt. You can't sue us. We made an actual movie, loser.
Because we don't have 115 other projects we've been talking about before we get to
No,
Ramen Writer.
We need to cancel all of them.
So we can make Ramen Writer.
Ramen Writer is more important. God damn it.
So that Austin can spend like $115 in trying to make a movie that he thinks looks better than this.
Yes, it'll have a really cool sword fight.
Well, call me lacking suddenly in critical thinking skills. I actually kind of enjoyed this.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I mean, I'm definitely against the grain. I think most people liked this. So.
I wasn't really thinking too much about, oh, this movie's bad. I was just kind of enjoying it. And then I thought about it, and yeah, this movie's not, like, great. It's not bad, but like I liked it. I don't know if I would watch it again.
I imagine if I got more familiar with this material, that this would not impress me as much, but I don't know.
Or maybe it would. Like, maybe you would get more familiar with it and would be like, oh, like, look at all the cool things they're doing with the mythology I like.
Yeah.
So I can see that, too.
That, too, because it's got to be chock full of references that are over my head right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But no, I don't think you're insanely against the grain. Like, the critics over Japan seem to like this, but the fan base seems maybe a little divided.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not 100% on that, because it's not like I've taken a poll.
Yeah, well, I feel like Shin Godzilla's become a little more divided now since -1 came out, like, just from hearing people talk about it, which I think is unfair.
I think that's unfair. They're doing very different things.
They're also very interesting movies together, like, to kind of analyze at what each is doing.
Yeah, no, they kind of work as companion pieces. We said that when we reviewed the new one.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, I think they're very interesting together.
I wonder what a really, like, politically focused Kamen Rider would look like. You know, if you did that, like, with Shin Godzilla, where
It'd
you
be like
put...
They Live.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, like, what if you put Kamen Rider more in the background, like Godzilla was in that movie, and you focused more on... the people on the people on the ground that are affected by like everything Shocker's doing in the background, where like maybe Shocker comes is like forced into the foreground where everybody knows about it now, and then you treat it like a Marvels or something where it's not really about the hero, it's about the little people on the ground.
Do it from like a person's perspective, right? Like the very beginning of My Hero Academia or whatever. And have it be like Kamen Rider is just like a character that shows up, but we don't really like see much from his perspective.
Yeah.
It's more from like a random citizen.
Hayden says that I am like Canadian legend Shania Twain, so that's a win.
What? Where did he say that? Oh, this don't impress him much.
This don't impress me much. Oh, you think you got the fights? Well,
Hayden. Hayden Spring said Black Sun is really political. That's interesting. Somebody mentioned I can't remember what it's called, but the show with the Amazon in the title that is supposedly streaming on Amazon, but we don't get it here. I actually found that and was looking at it because I was curious, because it said in Amazon Original, and then Amazon is in the title of the Kamen Rider show. So I don't know if that's a coincidence or if Amazon actually made it and put their own name in it. I have no idea what's going on with that. But then it was unavailable to watch in our country. So
it's Kamen Rider, but he's an Amazon delivery man. And his symbol is just his helmet's just an Amazon box, and it's got the check mark.
I would watch that. I would watch the crap out of that.
And he's like, Shocker needs to be stopped from A to Z.
What you really need is Kamen Rider come out and go, Shocker!
We need to get a big like explanation for what Amazon stands for.
Oh my god, it's just it's a really convoluted acronym,
Yeah.
like shocker.
And the first A in Amazon should be Amazon.
Austin, you know what shocker stands for?
I don't remember, but when it started, I was like, wait a minute, is this all gonna be shocker? Oh, yep.
Sustainable Happiness Organization with Computational Knowledge Embedded Remodeling.
I mean, I'm down with that. I always love a good, ridiculous acronym. So I'm down with that.
I just like the word remodeling, like it's home improvement. Like, imagine if Wolverine had modeling, or imagine if the Weapon X project had remodeling in an acronym.
Mm-hmm.
Logan has been remodeled.
That'd be perfect.
Well, anyway, we're past an hour. Any final thoughts?
This movie was fun to watch, but I don't know if it didn't really get me like into Kamen Rider. I don't know if I would actually want to like read or watch Kamen Rider after that. Maybe.
Yeah, I would like to finish the manga because I really liked what we read of it.
That art is awesome.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Well, I like beautiful manga art.
It's so pretty, and it's a period I love. It's like right at the end of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of feels like that. Jujiro puts in another $10 super chat. Really appreciate it, man. He says, Shocker here is based on a real-life cult in Japan called Happy Science.
The acronym for that.
Wow, well, that if you know about that, that sounds kind of on the nose, right? Like they're all about creating what they think is happiness, which is actually terrifying. Oh, I love that the whole time Shocker's plan is reminding me a little bit of the Borg, and then you get to the very end, and he actually says resistance is futile.
Yeah.
Like verbatim in the subtitles. I can't remember who it was, but there was also a character, maybe it was the robot guy that works
guy.
for Shocker that at some point says, I can't remember if it was him or not, but somebody at some point says humans are very interesting. And I was like, is that an intentional Death Note reference? Like, probably not, but...
And I don't really understand what's going on with that guy. Why did he keep putting flowers in his pocket? What was that about?
I kept waiting for him to take a flower out and put it, like a rose, and do the kingpin thing and, like, put it on somebody's grave or something. Like, he just kept adding to it.
Yeah.
Put it on somebody's soap.
Oh, another question I had real quick, just about the story. What's up?
And then after that, I want to talk about real quick something that you mentioned during.
I might be about to bring it up.
Okay.
But so you have what's the name of the like soul substance that like everybody has that makes it so you can morph?
Prana or something? Piranha.
Piranha.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Because I kept thinking piranha. What piranha?
I kept thinking like mana, like magic, but it's not.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Vulcan Katra if you could like take it and harness it and use it as a power source. Like that's kind of how they approached it. And I'm sure that's like original Kamen Rider, and I just don't remember because we only looked at some of that and it's been a long time. But anyway, I thought it was kind of odd, and this reminded me a little bit of the complaint I've always had with Picard in First Contact, where we're told that they took you got all these people that are like under sheets that are still alive, but they're missing their prana, which means they don't have their souls. And so the female lead keeps talking about how they like might as well be dead, and she even says we might as well just cremate them now. And I was like, wow, that's cold, because apparently their prana is taken to like a hell dimension or something.
They got eaten by a prana plant.
And I kept thinking, why is there? And I get that she's like like part cyborg and or part robot. She's kind of a cyborg. She's a little bit cold. Jason, you kept saying that she was a lot like Dr. K and Power Rangers RPM. Mm-hmm. And then when she became like the girl in the chair, she was just straight up Dr. K.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was wondering why there was no discussion about whether it was possible to like try to get their prana back and put it back in them. Like nobody even tries. It was just, oh nope, there's no chance now. And I was like, are we sure about that? Like, are we positive there's no chance to like get their souls back and put them back there? Because they're not dead, and we didn't disintegrate the soul energy. We didn't get rid of it.
Too much work.
Yeah. So
It's not quite as bad as Picard in First Contact, because like with that, he has not just evidence that you can be taken back out of the collective, but it happened to him. Like,
Well, and Picard lost his prana for the movies.
that's it. Yeah, he's completely lacking in prana.
But your other thought about that, or not about that specifically, about the soap.
No, thanks for explaining my the blood thing.
Okay, so
yeah.
so when he
We'll see if Austin has an explanation for
yeah.
that.
So you know the big kick with Batman where which honestly I don't remember what he does in the show, but I think the kick was awesome where he's just like, there's no way you could jump that high, and then he like he makes his bike float and then he jumps from it.
He says exactly how high Kamen Rider should be able to jump, and then he's like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna activate the jets on my motorcycle.
And then he kicks him, and it's very bloody, and then he got blood on his shoe, right? And then so when Bat-Og gets turned to soap, because that's what we're calling it now, all of his like blood on the ground disappears, but then the blood on Kamen Rider's shoe is not.
He's still got all that blood on him. There shouldn't be any DNA left anywhere.
Well, I have a question about the soap thing. When the main Kamen Rider dies at the end, his scarf turns to soap, and I don't understand how that works. Like, it's not on him, it's just on the floor.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is that happens with other characters that disintegrate like that, is they'll have personal artifacts that also disintegrate that are in other places. That blood shouldn't still be
and
there.
then his helmet.
Well, at least when it's, like, the clothes on them, it's like, okay, like, whatever, like, you know, that's just what we did. But, like, his scarf's just on the floor, and we cut to it specifically, and it turns into soap.
Well, but then the helmet also turns to soap. It doesn't turn to soap, but it turns to soap for like 2 seconds and then turns back into a helmet. I don't know what's happening.
Was like, oh, did it turn into a regular helmet? Because it's like, it like soaps off the Kamen Rider thing, but then I think when you see it again, it still has it.
It still has it. So it just got soap on it, because I don't know. This movie's just a big soap opera.
But
it is. It absolutely is. No, that was legitimately great, Jason. I stand by that joke. Well, Austin, are you ready to find out what we're doing?
Until the fat lady soaps, right?
Are you ready to find? I don't know. A minute ago, you said soap off, and I just want to start appropriating that for in other contexts, like soap off.
Well, the second you said that, all I could picture is that like the face off. It's like we want to take his soap off, but
we're gonna put the soap in him. Thomas Slow says, why didn't enemies just dodge the Rider kick attack? They just stand there. I mean, it's like monsters standing around while you morph. Giving you a chance to do that, or call your Zords, or...
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's like, why don't you just go kick his morpher out of his hand?
Kick his morpher ass.
Jojira says Jason wins the stream.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Jason. We didn't know we were playing a game, but you have officially won whatever that was.
Jokes where Austin ends it with put 'em.
And the best thing is that your prize is soap.
Oh no. Now the stream is a soap opera.
Now you can take this and go soap off.
I'm gonna take this soap.
I'm gonna take this potato chip and eat it. Austin, are you ready to find out what we're doing next time?
Yes. What are we doing next time? Because you forgot last time.
I did. I felt really bad about that. I lost sleep over it, but I remembered to do it this time. Austin,
Stop losing sleep.
next week we're gonna do something Jason cannot do with us.
Okay, bye.
We're gonna read some comics, and we're doing the first trade of Saga.
Oh, okay.
Saga? What the heck is that?
Which Joe Turner asked for, and that is a Brian K. Vaughan book that was immensely popular. I have a first edition copy of issue number 1, which is hard to get now, that somebody sent me a long time ago, a friend of ours from the channel. And I read that when I got it, but I haven't read past that, and it was not my thing. It was a little bit like too vulgar for my taste at the time, but I don't know. I've really relaxed on that, so I'll probably enjoy it more now, Austin.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it outside of they talked a little bit about it in the most recent Mark Millar interview with I almost said Gareth Edwards, with Garth Ennis, because I think it's Saga they talk about was like he pitched it to Vertigo and couldn't get the deal he wanted. Like I think he would have to like give up his creator rights for it, so he went to Image instead. I think it was Saga they were talking about.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a whole thing in there where they talk about how like Vertigo really propped up comics and then needed to die because they were holding them back with creator rights. And I thought it was really interesting.
Well, I'm glad that happened, because that was really good for his career, and I think it was good for independent comics in general. Because Saga was, it wasn't anything like as big as Walking Dead, but that was one of those like 4 or 5 books around that period that really got people into comic shops and got people reading stuff that wasn't the big two, and brought people back to comics that didn't care about superhero stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And that was the thing he did a few years before he launched Paper Girls, and I want to say Saga was still going even during Paper Girls, which I liked a lot. I never finished it. I think I own all that book, but I dropped off reading it at some point. I need to get back to it. But Saga I've never read past the first issue or two.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm excited to see what that is because I know nothing. But I've always heard it's great.
Well, I won't tell you what little I know about it because we're going to read it. And it's been like a decade, so I don't remember much. But anyway, so excited to finally tackle that. People have asked me for years to talk about that, so I'm glad we're finally getting to it. Anyway. Well, thanks a lot for watching, everybody. If you would like to make a request, you go to patreon.com/geekvolution. The $15 tier is where you do that. You only have to be on the tier for 1 month for your request to get on the list and stay there until we get it knocked out. We still have a pretty good backlog right now, 4 to 5 months.
Yeah. Side-scrolling hero has a question about that in the chat.
Can you read it?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
See it. Oh, no, I see it now. Apologies.
Oh.
Cap, thanks. I wanted to pledge on Patreon for your commentary request, but could I request Kamen Rider Kuga episode 17 only, asking because the Patreon says from a specific list. Why don't you message me about that and we'll talk privately? I don't want to make a decision on that now because typically my policy is if it's a show I've not seen, I want to do it. I want to do the pilot.
Yeah,
we did say episode 1. You read the question mark as a 7.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at small print and I don't have the
okay.
best eyes even with my glasses. Yeah. We'd be willing to do that. Absolutely. I don't want to just do episode 17, but if it's 1, typically especially with a show that's like half hour. How embarrassing! Typically with a show that's like half hour episodes, we'll do the first 2 or 3 at least. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, thanks for reading or telling me about that, Austin, because I didn't see it.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyway, we're gonna get going. We appreciate you guys. And he mentioned the commentary thing too. So I'll also say, if you want a commentary instead of a review, that's at the $30 tier. We do it the same night. It's the same kind of thing, and it's just more because we'll watch the whole thing while we're talking about it. And anyway, we will see you again real soon. Appreciate you guys. I was Captain Logan. Jason, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, that was me.
Austin and I are going to come back in a few minutes for anybody that wants to stick around and do a Batman discussion for you. I don't know how long it'll be, somewhere between half an hour and an hour.
I want to give you an idea.
Oh, okay. And we're going to talk about characters outside of DC that Batman has not crossed over with, or that maybe he's crossed over with in one media, but we'd like to see in another. And Austin and I are going to go down lists that each of us have and just pitch ideas for cool Batman crossovers. So nice, laid back, probably not remotely insightful conversation, and we're going to do that for you in just a few minutes. Thanks. Look at Austin. He's so excited. It's Austin's favorite kind. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you again real soon. I was Captain Logan. Once again, Jason and Austin.
See ya.
Later, everybody.